appreciate having Bill here tonight, Representative Chumley, because he is a true conservative, and it's a lonely walk in Columbia. The reference was made earlier, the difference between here and D.C. Well, the public's angst is stronger against D.C. than it is against Columbia, and it probably should be about the same. I mean, the big difference in Columbia is we can't print our own money.
Yeah, that's right.
In D.C. they can spend it, and they control us. I mean, you talked about H3101. It's all about the federal money. I mean, these politicians out in Columbia will sell you for $1 million here, $1 million there. I mean, they just go and collect it. When you look at the federal budget, and they say this year or the state budget rather, could exceed $25 billion when you consider the federal money that's rolling in. So it's all about federal money. I was on the SPATS committee over in Spartanburg, and I've gone and voted no, and it's pretty much a waste of time. Almost as big a waste of time as Columbia is, but at least in Columbia you can get some press over there at the SPATS committee meetings I've gone to. You go and vote, and basically it's all about trying to draw down the federal money. So you spend money on things like county transportation and county busing, trying to get federal money. You spend things on beautification projects, trying to get federal money. All you do is chase federal money and continue to enslave the people of this state. And it's a disaster. And that's a lot of the things that go on with these highway bills. And I've got an audit that was signed by 23 members of the Senate. That's half the Senate. And there's a lot of Democrats signed on because, quite frankly, the Democrats want to spend money. There's no question. They got projects on top of projects, and $50 billion wouldn't be enough. And I say Democrats. We got a lot of former Democrats in the state Senate. We got a lot of folks that are probably still current Democrats if you look at their voting records. And they want to spend and spend and spend. So the only thing I can find that's really bipartisan, and by bipartisan I mean both sides of the Republican Party and the Democrat Party, is people don't want to see waste. So the Democrats want to spend it on more government programs, but we can agree that we don't want waste. And I believe there's a lot of waste in the DOT. This audit gets to the heart of a lot of those issues. I've made some copies. Stephen's with me here tonight. Stephen Long, he made about 25 copies. We can get it to you electronically, but it shows what we're requesting. We want to know how the money's being spent. Are they following the law, or following the procurement code? I mean, there are a lot of folks. I've had calls from people that have some grave concerns about how the money's being spent, about how they're deciding who the money is spent with. So I think that these questions need to be answered. As far as the tax increase, I hate to assign motives, but let's think about this. Don't fix a bridge. Don't fix a pothole. Don't fix nothing. What would people say? I got to get this fixed. And then more and more people are willing to allow their freedom to be taken away through this tax system and increase gas tax because we've got to fix the roads. Well, we've got to have priorities. I mean, let me give you an instance about what happened today. We pay these professors to go to these universities to educate and mold these minds. Well, one of our universities in this state wanted me to come and talk to a group that would have, I had some stuff I had to do this afternoon, and I had this scheduled first, so obviously they should have came to me a little earlier. But they wanted me to talk about my bill that would allow folks that work in probate court to refuse to, kind of like they do in abortion clinics, the people that work, for state hospitals, that they can opt out of performing abortions, to allow people to opt out of being involved in the certification of gay marriage certificates. And they want to come in and have a forum because apparently the faculty is on the side of gay marriage. We subsidize this. We pay for it. It's our money. And let me tell you, if you look at North Greenville University, you look at Bob Jones, I mean, they're teaching, Christian principles and morals. But we've got some of these state institutions that are just brainwashing our kids. They're trying to teach us.
That's right.
Let me tell you something. This gay marriage thing, I think about our forefathers. And I can imagine Madison and Jefferson sitting there talking about, should homosexuals be allowed to marry? Can you imagine that?
Yeah. They're rolling in their grave.
They never intended. They never realized we would become such a perverse society. That's right. And we've done it. And if you don't get back to the biblical, everything. Let me tell you, And I had one of my political guys tell me tonight I've got to be more of a statesman and be less of a Bible-thumping rebel-rouser, you know. But I got to tell you something. Everything comes down to a biblical principle. Amen. The tax code is a biblical principle because it comes down to coveting. We don't spend what we need as a society to take care of things that we can only do as a society. We use this tax code to decide how I'm going to take from the other guy. Because for some reason, he doesn't deserve it. He's got, and let me tell you, I have been on both ends of the spectrum more than once. I came up in a single-wide trailer. I built a $10 million company from nothing. Let me tell you, there was nothing like going to Hardee's and not have to worry about if I've got an extra can of Coke. I paid the $2 for the fountain drink. I enjoyed life. Let me tell you, we went to Disney World. We had a good time. And I'm kind of broke again now. You may have read about it in the paper. So I've been on all ends of the spectrum, but I'm going to tell you, the guy that has succeeded, that has done it through hard work and sweat, I don't deserve any of his earnings. Right. But we have an entitlement class. Everybody feels entitled to other people's earnings. Yeah. And that's a biblical principle. Everything comes down to a biblical principle. And when they try to separate us from our biblical principles, they destroy the very bedrock of this republic. Right. And we allow it. And I want government out of our lives. I want government out of our lives. I got to tell you, there's nobody that wants government out of our lives more than me. But there are some things. I was debating a lady, and she's a libertarian. And I'm not a libertarian. I'm close. Not quite there. But she's probably past libertarian. She may be closer to even a more, even more so. But we were debating the abortion issue. And she said, well, you're bringing your religion into this. And I said, well, let's think about this. If the role of the state basically is protect the role of the law, if you read Bastiat, the law, which is great, and let me tell you why it's great, because if you've got dyslexia, those short books that are power punched with ideas are great. And being one of those people, I have read the law of Bastiat. You talk about the role of the law is to protect us from one another. Anything outside of that is outside of what the law should be. And to think that a child in the womb does not deserve to be protected from the abortionist is, to me, I can't reconcile that. So a lot of these issues that people want to make social issues, to me, is a constitutional issue. It is a biblical issue. But when it comes right down to it, our founders were godly men. Yeah. And I get really, I see my good friend from Spartanburg, and I know that he is got some kind of working against this constitutional convention, Evan Mulch. I know he's on the other side of this Article 5 thing, and not that I'm listening, but I got to tell you, I'm fearful of anything that the people are around to hear today, because you read Madison and you read Jefferson's writings, and these folks we have today, they're not the same. And one of the most interesting conversations I had was with Shane Massey from Aiken, which we don't agree on everything. Listen, you can't get the right of me. I've learned to accept that. If Jesse Helms was alive today, I'd be complaining that he was too moderate. So, there's no room to the right, so I'm quitting expecting people to be, as conservative as me. But we were talking one day, and I said, we don't have the men today that the founders were. They're just not here. And he said, but you know what? They wrote everything down. We got Federalist Papers. We got a Constitution. They left us. We got to get back to that. We got to get back to that as a state. And the thing, and one of these, the liberal professor who I didn't take the time with today, which I'd heard there was a small crowd, so I figured it was her and a few of her supporters. So I didn't go. But the big thing they were pushing was, you got to observe the rule of law. I want to tell you, those founders never intended. Let me tell you, they'd be marching on those 9 guys in the black robes and gals in the black robes. They wouldn't tolerate this kind of foolishness. That's right. When a sovereign state's people vote and say, this is the law of the land in our state, and those federal judges come down and knock it down because they've got agendas. Yeah. We are going in the wrong direction. So how do we get it right? Well, we get it right for people like you. Have to go out and get more people. You got to shake those people that aren't paying attention. You got to get them here. You got to fill this room. You got to fill that area up there. We got to have a bigger place, which this is a great place, by the way. This is one of my favorite places to come. But you got to have, when it's raining, we're going to have to put a tent out there. And that's how you get the politicians' attention. Because right now they're not paying attention. Let me tell you what they're doing right now. They're trying to figure out how to beat Lee Bright. Because if they can kill that canary in the coal mine, the guy that's out, letting you know the British are coming, that's who they want to get rid of. I mean, the Paul Revere's, that's who they want gone. Because if it's not people like me, myself, and Bill Chumley, you won't know what's going on. If you think, listen, I don't want to get these guys after me because they stay after me. If you think that the Charleston Post and Courier or the state newspaper or the Greenville News are going to protect your liberty, you got another thing coming. Let me tell you, read some of those articles on this criminal domestic violence bill. There was just a handful of us that voted against it. But to give a judge the ability to take away your gun rights because he viewed a text message as being threatening and dangerous. And you look at the vote on that, there are only 3 of us that voted against it. Now, Kevin Bryant was, we had snow on the way and he was trying to get out of town. I understand that he would have voted with us on it. So there's been 4 of us. Hey, let me tell you that. And you know what? The chairman of this year got up there and talked on and on about what the Charleston Post and Courier had to say. And I thought to myself, it used to be, in my mind, we should just close the legislature and let the lobbyists write the laws. Because, at least you'd save the legislators' salaries, per diems, and all that. But now, I think it could be even cheaper if we could just let the Charleston Post and Courier write the laws. I mean, it's just frightening. And so you guys have to be engaged, because I'm telling you, I'm depending on y'all. I mean, of course, I'm depending on God, because He's in control, and I believe in providence, and I am, it makes me tremble when I think about where we are as a society, and then we're asking God to come to our rescue. And thank God for Alabama and those judges. I mean, that is just courage. And is it not offensive to you guys to think about, I read in Ebony magazine the only quote attributed to Martin Luther King on homosexuality. And somebody asked him how to deal with it. And he said, well, the first thing you do is admit you have a problem. And now they're trying to say that Martin Luther King will be fighting for gay marriage equality. I mean, it's just mind-boggling.
No way.
So, it's frustrating. I know that we want an update on what's going on in Columbia. It's bad. It gets worse every year. I mean, I got to have some help. We got to have some reinforcements. I mean, like I said, they are coming after me. They want to shut us out. Kevin Bryant's already got announced opposition. I mean, the 3 or 4 of us that, stand firm on everything, they want us gone. Because let me tell you, if it's the folks 46-0, nobody asks a question. If it's 45-1, 44-2, some of you folks say, wait a minute, why those 2 guys vote no? And you look into the bill and you find the problem. But I'm telling you, they want to silence us. They want us gone. So not only do you have to protect us, but we're going to have to grow our numbers. Because we can't sustain a veto. The governor has been beating me up over this ethics bill. People don't realize what was actually in that bill. The fact that you would force these groups, people are afraid to give to against candidates, against incumbents. I've ran against incumbents. People come to me and say, I'm with you, but I can't show up on that list. Can I give you $95? Because if I give you less than $100, then I'm on the list. You would not believe the number of $95 checks I got when I ran in 2004. But it takes those larger checks to be competitive, and you couldn't get them. But people will give to these third-party groups because they're anonymous. And that's why they give, because they don't want that. Listen, the state's got so much control, the federal government's got so much control, people are afraid. They don't want that business messed with. They don't want to be on some list. But they'll give to these third-party groups. What that bill was going to require, and it's very clever how they do it, it says, all right, only the people that give over $10,000. That's who we're going after. And, a lot of us think, well, I'll never give $10,000, so how's that going to affect me? Here's how it affects you. Are the top 5 donors. So if you guys go out and spend $5,000, get together and pull your money together, you got to list those top 5 donors. It's just a way to silence dissent. And I know the governor wanted to win, and I know know she wants a win on the gas tax, and I'm sure I'm going to get beat in the head on that too. But what you got to focus on this next election, we got to be able to sustain vetoes. If we can get this governor to veto some things, that would be good. But then you got the next one. I mean, the Senate elections come along every 4 years. So I need you to be focused and engaged. And I'm ready for questions. I know you'll probably have a few.
Okay. Ron?